summer, when you think vacation, think Hello Elwood. See the real America.
Hey, underpants. Hey, yellow.
John!
I'm okay.
Don't you want to look at the Grand Canyon?
It's educational. And most of all, it's fun.
You asked interrogative questions around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, Emil.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
So every week, it's getting on noon, and I'm like, let's go. What's the holdup? Let's go. It's time to go. Let's go. Let's get it going. What's the holdup? It's time to light the candle. And last week, I'm off, and you guys start on time. What happened?
I think you're the problem then.
Not the only thing that's different this week, eh, Mark? There's a little more tension in here. Not quite as convivial. What's going on this week that's different from last week? I can't put my finger on it.
So this week,
Quite tense.
Sean strolls in at 12:05. He's just like, I reckon I'm not the host, so...
Yeah, a little traffic. Whatever. I knew you weren't going to start till...
Yeah, because there's never traffic. I'm glad that...
Now, you know.
That's not a problem.
So what time are you here, 12:04?
Me, I was here at 11:30.
He was. I'll give you that.
That's shocking.
I mean,
That happens all the time, but you wouldn't know that when you get here at 12:04. But anyways, we have a great guest here. It's great to have one Sean we can count on. So we have Sean Mann, the CEO of DCFC, that's Detroit City Football Club, who are playing this weekend for a championship. But if you hear this broadcast after this weekend, don't worry about it because they'll be playing for another championship a week after that.
wait, seriously?
Something like that.
How does that work?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of championships. It's but this one's a good one. This is for the national championship for the national, and you're going to have to help me with the rest of it, Sean.
National Independent Soccer Association. So that's the third division of American professional soccer.
They call it, it's the Nissel with a Missile, I think, is their marketing. No?
Or I joked that the I stands for interesting as much as independent, but yeah, it's
All right.
quirky.
Well,
Yeah.
good. Well, then they can give me a call if they want to brand that. I could use some extra money, and I could also use some help drying out my basement since I was one of many thousands of Detroiters and, of course, people throughout the metro area that were once again betrayed by our insufficient infrastructure and by yet another one of these 500-year storms. We've now had two of them in the last 700 years. So I'm kind of wondering, I guess, does that mean we won't have another one for the next 1,000 years?
No, it'll probably
two
come
of them out of
sooner.
our way?
I was a little pissed off, too, seeing all the politicians out there talking about it, acting like they were surprised at how bad the infrastructure was and that it flooded. It's like, it always floods in Dearborn. It always floods in Detroit. Why was everyone so surprised that the pumps failed? 94 is still closed.
Is it? Where?
I don't know. I heard it on WWJ on the way in.
In Southwest, down by Livernois.
Yeah.
Maybe Sean got stuck in that. Is that what happened, Sean?
Do you not know geography?
Did you not get stuck in that?
Washtenaw County to Oakland County. Do you take 94?
I take 94 to go to Ann Arbor. That's all I know.
From where you live, which I'm not going to say because you're running a campaign, but
which is in Detroit, by the way. You would know that if you ever got there.
Well, no, I've been to your place.
Hot dogs at the ballpark.
I've been to your place to play.
I'm fixing to get some mustard on this one. Oh, Tigers lost again.
Drink your hipster beers and so forth. I've been there. How do you get to Ann Arbor?
How do I get to Ann Arbor?
From here.
Practice.
From here.
Practice at sucking.
What roads do you take?
I take 94.
Really? So you want to go south?
I don't go to Ann Arbor.
From Ann Arbor, you want to go southeast. Is that what you want to do?
Sean, I've been through a horrible trauma this week, and I don't know.
You've only lived here for how long? 30 years.
How bad were you flooded?
Not as bad as Ann Arbor, which I would get to through.
You live below sea level.
What's that, Kevin Costner?
You know what I mean? Oh, I don't know.
Okay, I actually tried to do Waterworld for the intro this week, but the trailers were just as bad as the movie, so there was no point in it. But no, I tried to get out of town for a few days, which basically just means working from a different location. And of course, I had to come back to take care of some campaign stuff. And then I went back up, and then Saturday, no, actually, I think it was about 1:30 in the morning Saturday, as we were getting ready to come back to do some canvassing and some more campaigning, I got a call from John Rutherford at the Caju Cafe saying, hey, do you know anything about this flooding? And I said, what do you mean? He said, our basement, we got 1.5 feet of water in the basement. And I thought, well, that's on the east side. I wonder what's going on here. So we made a couple calls and found out that our basement was flooding, as was everybody's basement. In the end, we got 2 to 3 feet of water, which was a real drag because one of the nice things about being housebound for the past year is you organize everything you have. You put it in bankers' boxes. You build shelves. You put it on the shelves.
Bankers' boxes.
The
You
shelves
can't put
are
it
in the basement.
those Tupperware containers, so when it floods.
Let me tell you about some of those sealed
Those cost money.
containers. No, I have those.
Fair enough.
The difference between the banker's box.
I mean, even at
and-
Meijer, that'd be a big spend.
$4, yeah.
Exactly. That'd be too much.
Hold on, this is Adult Swim here. Hold on a second.
Who's the adult?
The difference between the banker's box and these Rubbermaid things with the sealed top is that when the water gets in the Rubbermaid things with the sealed top, then your documents and your precious items just float until you can dump them out.
When we had the Great Flood, August 11, 2014, hashtag never forget, when we had that, a lot of my stuff was protected because it was in those things because I didn't have them in bankers' boxes. My safe, everything in my safe was ruined. I'm just saying.
I like that you have a safe.
I have many important documents.
What's
Sean.
in there? Like a Winchester?
Probably no. I don't. You know what? I don't even know what's in there, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Important documents that I don't ever need, I guess.
Or that are now drying out somewhere.
So when you got home from wherever you were, I mean, were you the first to find it, or did Teresa or the girl who found it first? The mess.
No. We had somebody who was watching the house and taking care of the animals, and they counted heads, and the animals were all alive, so that was good. Except for the hated piss cat, which we wouldn't have minded losing, but she survived because
well, that's nice.
She's going to be the last creature alive in the house because that's the way it works. And we just said, hey, there's water in the basement. We said, don't go down there because we didn't want to get anybody to get fried. And then of course, we're thinking about what can we do to help people in the district get through this crisis. So we immediately started looking for some best practices to share with people, telling them, don't go into standing water because it could be electrified. Don't just throw everything out on the curb. I know. Well, this is
gross.
I think this is what they would call gray water. It wasn't sewage, but it was rainwater overflow.
It's still gross.
It's nothing you'd want to spend any time in, believe me. But we put up some things telling people, don't just take your stuff to the curb. Make sure you document it, record it. We help people figure out where to file their claim, who to let know that they had this problem. And then we immediately started working on a solution because there were lots of people who were talking about how you can deal with the crisis, and we offered some I think some valuable information and resources on that too. But then we started thinking, this keeps happening. What can we do about it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I started calling some city officials and some people with the water agencies.
Were they surprised that everything flooded?
Well, let's just say, actually, I think one of the funniest things when Gary Brown, who's the head of the water department in Detroit, had his press conference, he was saying, we anticipated 1.5 inches, which we could have handled, but then this was 6 or 7 inches, which the system wasn't built to handle. And when they did the Q&A, there was a reporter from Channel 4 who said, I think it was Channel 4, who said, well, how did you not know there was going to be more than 1.5 inches? And Gary Brown said, well, I was watching the weather report on Channel 4, and they said it would be 1.5 inches. And I thought, well, that's a pretty good crackback.
So when we get more than that, then it's just things are going to flood. That's how we're going to solve this issue.
Well, that's when I started talking to officials, and they said, well, it's a once in 500 year flood. I said, well, no, it's twice in 500 years and twice in counting. And even if it's not that we have this Jamestown flood or Johnstown or whatever it was, I know a guy whose basement is flooded 5 times. This was the 5th time.
Oh, yeah.
And he found his washing machine floating in the basement. And so this notion of, shit happens, we'll get through it together and they'll all be okay. It's like, no. That's not acceptable. This has happened too many times to too many people. We're not blaming government for the weather, but we are saying that if we acknowledge that one of the tributary causes is global warming, I don't think we're going to get that straightened out in the next year or two.
I'm glad you brought that up because Whitmer, when I saw our little press conference, started talking about infrastructure because of the bill that's going on right now and global warming. And I'm sitting there going, nobody cares about that right now if your basement's flooded. What are you going to do for the people whose basements are flooded that lost a lot of stuff?
Right. And
that's fine. You can talk about that stuff later and down the road. But right now, nobody cares about that. They care about their home.
Well, one of the things that with public utilities in particular, the current administration is always screwed by the previous administration because everybody kicks the ball down the road. And I remember Dennis Archer when he was leaving office in 2001, and we were doing sort of wrapping up the career type interviews. And somebody asked him, or Archer volunteered, what's the biggest issue facing the region in the future? And he said, I know it's not very sexy, but we need to spend billions of dollars on our water and sewage system. I was like, yeah, okay, that's great. And he said, but I don't think anybody really wants to spend the money. And he was absolutely right, and we're seeing that right now. Now, having said that, this system, that much water, it's going to be tough for anything to process it. But so in talking to people, I think, and my campaign is suggesting this, that the city and the Great Lakes Water Authority, which owns all the facilities now after we went through all this bankruptcy and all this reorganization, needs to help homeowners put in backflow preventers so that when the water is surging through the lines, it doesn't come into our houses, and sump pumps. And if you can't afford a sump pump, we think that the system should help support you in the same way that DTE, my power goes out half a dozen times a year, and DTE says you need to buy a generator. I'm like, why do I have to buy a generator? Because your system sucks. That should be something you tell me you have a monopoly, that I should be able to have the power on all the time. Well, that's something you wanted with your monopoly, so why do I have to now back up your system? That's your responsibility to keep my power on. It's my responsibility to pay the bills. I meet my responsibility. You don't meet yours. They're not a sponsor of the soccer team, are they, Sean?
DTE?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're a great partner of ours.
Oh, they are? Okay. Well, we really appreciate the fine...
Nice making it awkward.
We really appreciate the fine work you're doing keeping the lights on at Keyworth Stadium. The rest of the city, you can kiss our ass, DTE. But so, we have federal rescue money, the American Rescue Plan money coming to Detroit. The mayor's been talking about how should we spend it. He has been talking about infrastructure. And I think when people say we can't afford to put these things into people's homes to keep their basements from flooding, I think we are going to pay for it because when those claims come in, it is the taxpayers who pay the payouts to taxpayers whose basements have flooded. So you're going to pay it one way or the other. So why don't we spend the money and save people all the trauma? And people like me who, believe it or not, start getting choked up when they're going through wads of their children's keepsakes, when they're trying to pull apart pictures from family functions and the emulsion is coming off and you sort of remember what happened there, but you know that you're not going to be able to call back on those memories because all this stuff has been destroyed. So I'll tell you what, we're getting $426 million. It's time to spend some of that money so that people around here don't have to go through what we're all going through. Because if you saw the curbs on the east side of Detroit, and I suspect in other parts of the metro area, it looks like everybody's been evicted. It's just all the furniture. Oh, yeah. It's everything that you would have in a house now outside the house, soaking, stinking, and waiting to be picked up. So
nightmare.
So that's kind of what we've been doing since getting that wake-up call from John Rutherford. So thanks, John. But yeah, that was a drag. It's it's the first time we've had a flood like that, even though we've had other floods. So anybody who's going through that, man, God bless you, because this sucks. And Mark, you said you had something like this happen.
Oh, the big flood, yeah. August 11th, 2014. And, it was the same thing. It was a disaster. But at least then it was declared a national emergency. So FEMA came in and gave money, and which was fun, dealing with FEMA and dealing with insurance. But
how long did it take for you to get that money, and did they reimburse you what you thought was a fair amount? Because I keep hearing they won't do replacement costs. They'll do depreciated value, which if I got an old couch, that's on me. But if you ruin my old couch, I need a new couch.
Sure. $16,000 is what it cost to redo everything, and I think FEMA gave me $2,000.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have.
Did you have flood insurance?
No. I do now.
Do you,
I
Mike?
never thought about it, but yeah, that's
I don't think so. I mean, I live a long way from the water, which is in Grosse Pointe, but there's also a lot of waterfront
Because I
property
saw-
in Detroit. So I live so far away. If I have flood insurance, it's only because it's part of my policy. The last thing I'm thinking is I need flood insurance.
Well, not only flood insurance, but my other regret is ever finishing the basement. It's like, why bother finishing a basement in this area? It's going to flood. It's going to flood. Just make it gross and store things down there in anything other than banker boxes.
I live in a basement. I mean, my kitchen's in a basement.
Of course you do.
You know,
What does that mean? You mean you
literally,
live
it's literally in a basement.
Why is your kitchen in your basement?
It's just how the house is built.
Spiders?
Yeah, it's a bunker. What's that?
Is that why you eat spiders?
I saute them.
Basement? Oh, you saute? Okay.
Wait, is there so it's a legitimate basement? There's no door. There's no exit outside.
Yeah, but you have to go upstairs.
That's weird, isn't it? Was it always that way?
Yeah, that's how the house was built.
I've never heard of that. I'm fascinated by that.
So is this a split level thing where when we go in your
That's what I'm
backyard,
wondering,
you
yeah.
can walk in, but if we
You
go
said
in your
no.
front door, it's up above?
The front door is up above, but not to the kitchen. The front door is to the bedrooms, right, and bathroom. Downstairs, it's a kitchen and a living room. So we have no choice. So if we flood, our
fucked.
neighbors have actually flooded. But I saw posts all over the weekend from some that had insurance and some that didn't. You know, Kathy Kilishevsky, our photo editor at the Detroit Free Press. Did you see the photo she posted?
No.
Her car was in the middle of the street. Now she does live in Grosse Pointe. It's not far from Detroit. She's a couple of streets in from Detroit, right? I think. But it was her car was floating away. They were out at 4 a.m. trying to
Oh my God.
haul it back in. So obviously it's not just sump pumps and backflow that you have to worry about, right? It's storm drains.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the infrastructure you're talking about. Sump pumps aren't part of the infrastructure.
That's the other problem. Well, the idea is when the infrastructure...
I was just waiting for the counselor to say something about actual infrastructure.
Well, you looked
Instead
at
of-
me with longing, so I assumed it was...
No. I was waiting for you to stop the campaign ad and talk about infrastructure, but go ahead.
But remember those highway pumps failed in 2014, and then they said they fixed them, and what do you know? They didn't work again, and that's why the highways were flooded.
Seriously,
That's a big mess, man.
the storm drains are the issue, right? Though when you see the lakes in the streets.
I'm an idiot. I don't know what's the
It's
issue. Is. Just
capacity
fix
of the
it, man.
pumps and the combined sewer overflow. The way it works is if first of all, you don't want to leave your leaves and whatnot on the sewer grates. You want to clear those. That stops the street flooding. But then the other problem is once it goes into the system.
And that's when it backs up.
Right. Once it goes into the system, then if the pump house can't pump it into the overflow, and if it pumps it into the overflow and the overflow's at capacity, the analogy that all the officials keep using is if you overfill your bathtub, the water's got to go somewhere. Yeah. And basically what it does is it goes, instead of pouring over the sides of the bathtub, as it would in their analogy, it goes backwards in the system, which means it goes up into your house, which is what happened. So I mean,
I'm going to guess that it doesn't get fixed, and next time there's a big rainfall, people are going to flood again in this area.
Serious question though: is it worth fixing, Mike? I mean, is it worth spending the money for how infrequent? Is that the point?
Absolutely, because it turns out it's not.
Well, I mean, I think it is. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, but well, at the risk of being accused of doing a campaign commercial, but I mean, the thing with the infrastructure, you know, it's legitimate that leaders leave infrastructure major bills for the next leader to deal with. So you're always inheriting something that should have been done by somebody else. But the problem is, even if the mayor, the governor, the water department decide we are going to go balls out and fix this thing, it's going to take years because you have to do studies, you have to do engineering, you have to do bids, you have to do construction, you probably have to do land acquisition. It's going to take 5 or 10 years to, even if they see fit to expand the system's capacity. So in the meantime, there are some short-term things which we can do, which is give me a sump pump. If water starts coming into my basement, let me pump it back out on the street.
Well, 5 to 10
years. And I think
years.
it sucks that cars are floating around on East Outer Drive, but at the same time, you know, none of my kids' pictures or kindergarten projects are in that damn car.
No, but my point is, if cars are floating out, where's that water going to go? What's a sump pump going to do against that kind of lake?
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is
that's what
I want it out of my house. Now, if it
for
comes
sure.
through walls, that's another problem.
But for sure, but how can a little sump pump handle that kind of deluge? It's got to be fixed. What you're talking about, right, with the larger system.
Well, in the now my man who had his basement flood 5 times, his washing machine didn't float around every time, so there may be some less torrential rains that can be dealt with this way. I mean, the bottom line is, this is the problem with people, is we think there's free shit out there, and there's not. So you have a choice. You can stop the water from coming in and spend some money on devices that stop the water from coming in, or you can pay the people when the water came in. You can pay them with FEMA checks. You can pay them when the insurance rates go up, because when they flood in Florida, my rates go up in Detroit. The insurance companies spread the poison among everybody. We are going to pay for this one way or another. So my idea, my suggestion is that we pay for it to prevent the damage, and we write the check, and we avoid as much of the agony as possible. But yeah, I mean, if some guy with animals going 2x2 in his big old boat shows up, there's no sump pump that's going to keep that lonely unicorn from drowning.
No, but that's a great idea, because
masturbating furiously.
Oh my God. Okay, that's better. That's more like the podcast I know and love. But in all seriousness,
I thought that was a Conan reference, wasn't it?
What? No, that's the bear, I thought.
Oh, okay.
Did
yeah,
he
that's
just
right.
retire, by the way?
He did, yeah. Kind of.
So what you're saying is your suggestion for it's like in the medical system treating primary care patients in the emergency room, right? Sort of after the fact, as opposed to ahead of time.
I'm a
preventive
wellness guy.
And you are, right?
I want free checkups.
Preventive medicine.
So once again, we just saw this 7 years ago. So
yeah, so once in 500 years,
I bullshit. Now, if I did have a car, if I lost a car, where could I go to get a new one?
Well, I guess it'd probably just float into your front yard. No, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would. And if you're looking for a car,
I teed that up perfectly for you.
I know. Well, I wanted to tell people that there was one neighbor who told me that there were cars in their neighborhood
wide open
that were having accidents because cars were floating into them. So there were collisions where cars are just up and floating into each other. But if you're looking to replace one of those cars, or like us, you're looking for a new dependable ride, may I recommend that you go to Royal Bryan Ford?
Yes.
They are at the corner of, thank you. They're at the corner of 9 Mile and Mac in St. Clair Shores. They've been there for 75 years. They've got amazing new cars, used cars. They can sell you a car. They can lease you a car. They'll pick up your used car, probably give you a fair price for it, because those things are going like hotcakes. And if you love the new E-Mustang, or maybe that Bronco you got your eye on, the big Bronco I think is coming out soon if it's not out yet. That's being built right here in Michigan. Go to royalbryan.com to find out more. Go to ROYOBRIEN.com. You can check out Fast Track, which lets you pick out your vehicle and options. You can pick out your deal too. You want to lease it? Do you want to finance it? Or if you're the Mac Daddy, you can pay cash. You'll also get the value of your trade-in, apply for financing, and when you've got all that done, then you can schedule delivery of your new ride. So if you don't want to go there in person, go online, royalbryan.com, or give them a call at 888-566-5851. That's 888-566-5851, and tell them ML said to set a nice new dry car aside for you.
Beautiful.
I want to get in that thing and just drive it right away. Do you mind?
No, I think that's perfectly
the point.
Prudent course of action. So we could talk more about flooding, but I'm having flashbacks, and when we leave, I'll be pulling some more. I have boxes.
One
and
of the
boxes
wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
And I don't know whether the records that have been destroyed are some of my City Hall investigations or my M&M investigation. But I do know
those
that
are saved somewhere, aren't they?
I like how it came back to your investigation. So.
Yeah, it doesn't care about the family heirlooms.
No, those are the ones
just kidding.
Those are the ones that I'm most upset about. But we're talking about bankers boxes. In fact, banker boxes available at sponsor has yet to be named. That's an opportunity for people to get involved in the show. The Kwame Sutras. I have 2,000 Kwame Sutras.
Oh no!
That
got destroyed.
Let's just say the remaining
write-off.
Kwame Sutras, the values have increased dramatically.
That's nice.
We found a way to increase the value by reducing the inventory.
Well, Schaefer told us last week he's got about 6,000. So if you need some,
well, thanks for immediately depressing the price. Thank you. Wow, I thought we were working together here, but no. Let me turn to another Sean. One I can always depend on.
Save us, Sean,
as opposed to me
for good news. No, Sean, I do appreciate you filling in last week, although.
Oh, yeah, at least you didn't say but, although it was a little kinder.
Although I do recall...
Doesn't end with a hard consonant.
offering a 12-point plan, and it looks like we missed out on number 7, push merchandise. Number 8, review and if necessary, edit.
Mark push merchandise.
feedback.
Come on.
Mark push merchandise. So
I'm
what
sorry
else
it
you
wasn't 5 minutes long.
what else
but
you
I
wrong
mentioned
about?
Sorry.
Keep going.
Sorry, you guys were talking so
we're-
long,
we're
I
gonna-
ran an extra mile.
We're both going to push back on
We're going
this.
to fact check you here, but go ahead.
Review and if necessary, edit listener feedback voicemail.
I did that.
Mark did that.
I reviewed it. I didn't think it was sufficient
He did. He told me that before the show.
because you left a message.
There was no listener feedback. Update folks on Geek of the Week inspired Crossroads fundraiser initiated so that we would raise money, which I will now then match to help Detroit families.
We forgot about that.
No. I just didn't.
I don't know, just didn't care
We'll
about-
have this. We'll have that discussion
Just
of
didn't-
why
just
that
didn't care
didn't
about
happen
family.
off the air. All right.
Let me just put down
Just remember where I work.
Sean
Oh, yeah.
SHAWN
Do I need to spell it out?
hates families. No, I have a long relationship with the Free Press.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry for making Sean.
Hates families.
Sean
And-
Man waiting
Hates
longer.
families.
And number that's SHAWN hates family. Sean Mann SEAN loves families, and they are welcome at Keyworth Stadium.
I do.
Although
Can
if
I
you have
go
little
back to-
kids, you might want to sit on the other side.
Can I go back to something you just made reference to, and I don't think a lot of people caught it? I don't understand why the Free
Number
Press...
10, invite folks to my fundraiser. Okay, there you go.
I don't understand why the Free Press... They had all their endorsements for city council, and yet they would not pick one in your district, which made me think, oh, that means they would have selected you, right? But they don't want to look like they're playing sides. If they wanted Virgil Smith, they would have easily mentioned that, wouldn't they? Don't you think? No? Anybody want to stand up for the Free Press? Because I think it's ridiculous that they didn't even make a choice in that district.
I'll stop you.
Is that
when
a no
you're-
comment?
I'll stop you when you're wrong. No, this was a non-endorsement endorsement.
I thought that was ridiculous.
They sent questionnaires to everybody. They evaluated the answers. They determined who was the best candidate, and they determined that if they picked the best candidate and endorsed the best candidate, they'd be criticized. And they decided not to help voters. They decided to avoid criticism. And certainly I have a long-standing relationship with the Free Press. Everybody knows that.
Okay, but you
all
two
you
are
have to do is
journalists.
disclose
Just
that and
mention
let
it,
people
yeah.
decide for their own whether that may have colored their view. But instead, they put us all through a process that in the end was,
a waste of time. What a bunch of horse shit.
well, they did provide our answers in a voter's guide, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. But in terms of endorsement, they should have just said, if there's anybody better than Elric, we'll endorse them. Otherwise, we're going to punt. And I think a lot of us would have said, well, then we'll just...
No, there's nobody better than you. I'll just go ahead and say it.
I'm just going by what the Free Press didn't say.
They should have just disclosed that you've worked there on like 3 different tours.
And I'm going to start wearing
It's
my
5.
Elric shirt.
5. Was it really 5?
I think so.
I think my son has one. I'll just use his.
What?
I was a
Got an
clerk.
Elric.
I was a clerk. I was an intern. I was a city hall reporter. Then I was an investigative reporter. Then I came back to do the podcast, which turns out to be a city hall reporter. Yeah, so that's 5 times I've been there.
Okay. Sorry. Thanks for waiting, Sean, man.
Yeah, anytime.
So anyway, yes,
I
thanks.
just had to have that little rant there.
He just
I thought
needed
that was
to
weak.
admonish me for, I'm not sure what, but, you know.
So
To make himself
as
feel
I was saying, number 10 is invite people to the June 30th fundraiser at the Traffic Jam featuring Shasta Fox. So you're going to want to find out more about that. And
Your guest has been waiting here patiently.
Oh, sorry. Actually, they've won another championship since Sean got it. So okay, the patient. And listen, if you like soccer, you're patient, right? You got to wait for that one goal. There's the 90 minutes, then there may be another 5 or 6 minutes after that. I mean, this is a game
Way to talk
for
it
people
up.
with
What are you
patience.
talking about? No,
What do you- it's a beautiful game with a lot of stuff going on. You don't need a goal all the time. You love hockey.
No, but it's
It's the same principle, similar geometry.
The Lightning beat the Habs 5-1. There were a few goals there. But no, soccer is a patient game. You make some space, you make the right pass, you have a try. This is not a game for people who like pinball. This is not a game for people who like football where you can score and then score 2 and then 3 and then 7 and 6 and that sucks.
I don't know. You take you have a play
really
for
deflate.
10 seconds and you sit in a huddle for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm saying
And you're saying soccer's slow?
Yeah, it's about the
no. I'm saying
constant
soccer is for
activity.
patient
It
people.
is.
Football
It's-
is for people
There's
who
a
need something
fluidity
to happen
to it.
every
A
minute.
fluidity to it. You know, like your your monologue earlier.
Lay
There's
the
a
hammer
fluidity
down.
to it.
No, I mean it's constant action. At any moment, the game turns, and it's all about that built-up anticipation. And when that goal does happen, the release, the excitement. Yeah,
But that's the patience. You have to watch the game. You have to see things happening, and you can see it's a massive, massive field. And if you can see people moving, you can it's almost like seeing storm clouds gathering. When that guy breaks through, and is he on sides? Is he off sides? Does he see him? Is he going to make the cross? I mean, it's, you guys do sell. As the only one here who plays soccer, other than watches it on TV, I'm going to speak with a small amount of authority here.
You still play?
Not because of the campaign. I haven't been able to make games.
What campaign?
Sean Mann is here from Detroit City Football Club. Sean, tell us what's going on at Keyworth.
Well, I mean, we're back at it.
Sean Windsor said it's very boring.
Let him talk.
Yeah, we're back at it. We've emerged from COVID, and we're finally starting to have fans back in the stands after this long kind of dark period, and we're getting back to who we are. It's a full stadium and the amped up crowd, and the excitement we're talking about here. And so actually, it culminates this Saturday night. We're hosting the NISA National Championship, so third division American soccer, and we won the fall season, which was a closed bubble tournament with no fans. We won that. It was kind of hollow without the fans in the stands. We actually had a spring bubble tournament. We won that as well. And then last Saturday, we finished a regular spring season, and we won that as well. And yet the league is subjecting us to a playoff, even though we've won everything for the past year. So, it's a bit screwy, but this is for the grand 2020-2021 championship of third division American soccer.
So last time you were here, you were talking about, it was becoming a professional team and paying. So it seems like it's been a wild success, but there was some fear, I would assume, during COVID that how do you survive?
Yeah, I mean, we went pro February. Our first pro game was in LA, February 29th, and I was on the trip. And
2020.
Of 2020,
okay.
yeah, and people were wearing
nice timing.
Yeah, people were wearing the 95 masks and everything on the plane, and I was like, that seems a bit much, and within we win that match, and within 10 days everything shuts down on us, and so it was the worst possible timing for us to make that transition to going pro. No, we got all these guys on the payroll and had to figure it out. And so, 2020 was brutal for anybody in the business of gathering large groups of people together.
Sure,
on a regular
entertainment,
basis.
yeah.
And then for us, we've built out the TV side of things. This year, all our games are statewide on channels across the state, but it's not our sole revenue source. It's still butts in the seats. So, we were down at various points, so probably the last payroll. But I think we were
really, wow.
Yeah, I think we were arrogant enough to know that we'd always figure out some solution along the way, and so we got some capital from friends of the club, and then we ended up selling off 10% of the equity in the Michigan LLC that is DCFC Holdings to our supporters. And
oh wow!
So we actually reached the federal cap on that campaign within 4 days. So we raised $1.5 million in 4 days. Iggy Pop signed on for the commercials that we did for that, and actually it was funny. Like, we hit our federal cap before any advertisements went live. It was just
how'd you get Iggy?
Friend of a friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Has he been out for a game?
No, I mean, he's down in Miami in Europe. So we're regular touch. Actually, if you follow social media, he regularly wears DCFC gear. And it's stuff. So, but yeah, so I mean, that gave us the capital to get through COVID, and then set us up for growth once we get back to it. So
okay,
here we are.
Now that you've won everything this year, is there promotion?
There's not. I mean,
there's not promotion.
Yeah,
I mean, that's one of the best things about soccer in the whole world is relegation and promotion.
Yeah, US
that's
soccer,
where you move up and down on the level of leagues. For those that don't know.
Yeah, U.S. soccer's a hot mess, and we're kind of the poster child for outside the MLS system. No one's really done what we've done, from like starting at Cast Tech to like building up like naturally, without that millionaire kind of billionaire infusion. So we've been regularly dragged into like the legal fights that people have had against MLS.
Right. Oh yeah.
So I've been deposed a few times now, and it's exhausting, and I hope not to do it again. But I mean, so yeah, we are kind of outside of that MLS ecosystem.
Well, what's the league between? What's the second tier?
So there's
the
a
US?
rival. Yeah, so this is where it's a hot mess. So there's a USL. The USL is the second division, and they have their own third division. They launched the same time as ours did. USL used to be partnered with MLS, and the two have had a divorce just in the last few months, and so now they're warring. And then like we're kind of on the fringe, and so yeah. I mean, I think in the end, not to be a pessimist, but like I think the billionaires will rule the day.
They always do.
End, right?
Yeah.
So, but for us, it's creating a team that people it resonates with people, and when you step into Keyworth and you're in that match, it's an experience, and I think right now it's the top water cooler. Not that people go to offices with water coolers, but it's that top like buzz. When you come out of that match. It's what you're talking about.
Right. This might be a loaded question, but does DCFC, is that keeping MLS out of Detroit?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we have a line of communication with MLS and Garber's office, and there's a odd number of Detroit expats in various front offices or in MLS HQ. So no, we're not keeping them out by any means, and I think we would be.
I don't mean like actively, but are they like we don't even want to deal? Because I know there's a lot of the supporters, the Northern Guard. They're incredibly supportive, and they don't want the MLS here.
Right. I think one with Gilbert Gore's that bid, there was nobody in those organizations who woke up first thing in the morning focused on how do I bring MLS to Detroit. It was always a partial of their FT for a lot of people there. And so, the fact that it lost steam, I don't think was really a big surprise to a lot of folks. And I don't think we keep MLS out by any means, but I think the best chance of success for First Division soccer in Detroit is having our rabid fans. I don't think the Big Four are so generationally legacy ingrained in this region that if you're going to set yourself apart, I don't know how you do it by just cookie cut, replicating what the Tigers or Pistons or everybody does in terms of the match day, the game day experience or the marketing or anything like that. So I think our rabid fan base is what soccer culture is about, and that's where MLS has succeeded, that you have that.
It's very similar, I always thought, to college football in a lot of ways. I don't know. Maybe not. Sorry. Go ahead, ML.
I don't know. I mean, I think DCFC scores more than Jim Harbaugh's offense, so that'd be a difference.
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
So,
not at all.
So, I'm trying to figure out how to drive to Ann Arbor to see those games. But
boy, that really shook him.
Yeah.
No, it was Ann Arbor to here, but that's a good thing because you're Detroit.
It's never occurred to me to drive to Ann Arbor through Oakland County.
No. I'm just saying, but it's a good thing. You're a Detroit guy. Why would you know, right? You're not concerning yourself with the
Sean, it's over between us. I'm going back to the other Sean.
You know what I mean?
And speaking of new allegiances, with ULS and MLS fighting, is there a chance that you guys could kind of sneak in there and say, hey, if you're looking for a feeder league, we got this neat little NISL here, and if you did that, would the Northern Guard have your head on a stick?
It's actually just in the last week, Major League Soccer announced that they are launching their own third division. So there will now be three. Like, we're the only country that replicates the different divisions in the pyramid. So MLS is launching their own third division to rival us and USL, and they are going straightly down the path of minor league baseball. And so, and which is interesting because minor league baseball has obviously been shaken up dramatically in the last year, so I don't know sure why you want to replicate that model, but so I don't think that works for us. Yeah, sure. I mean, yes, they obviously want to control the sport, and that's what it's about. I don't think that works for us, just because Detroit is a major league market, and us playing the Chicago Fire U18 team on a Tuesday afternoon in a closed door match isn't going to cut it, for our fans, right? Like, that's not what they expect. They want to play teams with fans, and that are trying and are marketing, and our fans are very active on social media and they want to banter with other people, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and doing that with the C teams for major league teams, which there's major league teams, there's ones who are obviously killing it, are amazing organizations, and regardless of where the other four major sports, but then there's other ones that are floundering and they're playing in front of a couple of I mean, Chicago Fire played in front of 6,000 people last week at Soldier Field. So there's struggling organizations as well. And so playing their C teams doesn't help us.
I'm curious. So you said the MLS and the model, at least here, would need the Northern Guard. So how would that work? Because I remember when the whole Gores, I don't even know if it was a formal proposal, but I remember kind of the news of it, and they wanted your brand, right? I mean, they wanted to, or at least some people did. I don't know how formal it got, but that was the idea, right? Meld it all together. Is that what you mean when you say how do they do it without the Northern Guard?
Yeah, I mean, without, or maybe not the Northern Guard in particular, but like without those rabid people who care about soccer, right? Like to create the atmosphere that sets yourself apart from a Tigers game or, you know, the other sporting experiences in town. I mean, it was always kind of insinuated that like we would be factored in, but I think it was always more in a kind of kumbaya, we'll bring everyone together type way. So there was never any kind of like, while we had a line of communication with them, there was never like a formal like pitch to like, you know, what that would look like. It was always more like, we'll get a team and we'll talk details with you. And I think frankly, they made, you know, decisions along the way that would have made it very hard for us to ever get to that point as an organization. So, you know, I think, I mean, we're not pushing for MLS ourselves, you know, like, you know, we're still everyday guys, you know, and so, you know, that's not our ambition. Our ambition is keep growing the organization. You know, we've developed a youth system now that has 2,400 kids across country
I
Detroit.
see the signs everywhere around Oakland County, yeah.
Yeah, so we're just incrementally growing this as an organization. You know, I think, you know, MLS leadership called me, set up a call with me right after the whole MLS Detroit announcement happened. And, you know, the commissioner asked straight up, like, why do your fans hate MLS Detroit? And it wasn't, you know, why they hate MLS. And I was like, I don't think our fans hate MLS across the whole spectrum more than any other American fans hate MLS. I think what we've built is something that they have a sense of ownership in.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and so they don't want to see that taken away. And so that's what has to be, you know, that's what sets it apart. Like, you know, our fans, like, actually put together care packages and, like, once a week go to the player housing and, like, make dinner for them, you know? Like, there's an intimacy there. And fans can look that, like, every step of the way, our growth, they've been active in it, not just, you know, passive bystanders.
Is there a, not maybe word is the wrong word, but do you get to a point where the more success you have and the more you grow, that it gets harder and harder to hold off? You mentioned the billionaires earlier. When I lived in Austin, Texas in the early 80s, there was one Whole Foods, and it was down the street from where I lived, right? And that was it. And then look what happened. All of a sudden, they become so successful, Amazon wants them. I'm not saying that's – but that happens all the time in our country and with that kind of model. Is that what you're talking about a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's you know, I don't think MLS is a slam dunk in Detroit. You know, just because, again, the other teams, the newest team on the block was when the Fort Wayne Sprockets or whatever moved here in 57, right? You know, like everyone is so culturally entrenched. And frankly, the markets where MLS does well, it's either MLS isn't competing with the other four teams or a city like Atlanta where, you know, they had a whole new generation of people move into that city. Like, we're at best holding on to the people that have those long-time affinities. They're not new people to Detroit coming in looking for a team they can call their own. So, you know, I don't think MLS is, a slam dunk in that sense. I think, you know, when you look at global soccer, I think MLS looks at this like, you know, Jeep is on the front of the Juventus jersey. Yeah. Like, Ford is all over, you know, the Champions League. You know, Chevy, up until, like, this week, is on the front of the Man U. So, like, Detroit ad dollars are spread out across the global game, and like I think MLS wants a piece of that pie. So I think Detroit will always be of interest, and I think if that happens, I think, you know, whatever comes ahead, like we just want to be in a position that like we have a shape of what that looks like.
Well, when the commissioner calls you and you have that conversation with him, why don't you say, "Hey, what will it take for us to be in the league? Is that just a pipe dream, or is that something that could possibly happen?" Yeah,
I mean that's not. I mean, you know. They really care about, you know, who's writing now the $400 million check, and who's paying that, who's writing the other $350 million check for the stadium. Like, that is all that drives their thinking and view of the world.
Well, didn't you guys even have trouble starting this third-tier league because most of the leagues needed to have at least someone with a net worth of so many $1 million in the ownership group, and you're a bunch of schmoes who somehow made this thing happen, and no one's made $1 million out of it yet.
Yeah, I mean, we are the the U.S. Soccer, which sanctions professional soccer in this country, and they are sanctioned by FIFA. So like you're only allowed, each country's only allowed one federation. So it's very different than, there's no real federation for baseball or, overseeing NFL or Major League Baseball.
Podcasting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Thankfully.
So like, and so the thing is with such a global sport, if you try to operate outside that federation, your players are blackballed from playing in any other country that has a federation. So like you really do have to play by the rules, and U.S. Soccer set up what's called the professional league standards. And so for us being a third division, one is, there's stadium requirements like capacity and field width and, very basic stuff. But the big one is you have to have an owner worth a certain net worth. And they just want to know that like, if you falter, who's writing the check?
Right. Whose pocket can they get into?
Right. And, for us, for third division, we operate on the same level of the top third of second division teams, but that system you have to pay into and your owner has to be a certain net worth. We ended up having a partner who, in the course of all the stuff, like when he came on board, we actually never asked him his net worth. And then, we asked, like, when this conversation was going on, and he stepped up. He did have that minimum to get to us to the third division. But it's not him bankrolling this. It's us. Our operating funds keep us going.
So you can basically, if you screw up, you can bury this guy. They'll come hounding him.
No, I think we're. I think we're all on the hook.
But you did just you buy the field house in Detroit. You go professional. You hire an international coach. You start the youth league, and then the main source of revenue, butts and seats, is taken away from you. And then you say, well, you know what? We need everybody to pony up $1 million. Now, when you raised money before to renovate Keyworth, you were offering a pretty tasty 35% return on investment with no guarantee. But not only did you give everybody the 35% return, you gave it back sooner than you expected, which was pretty nice. Then you say, we need $1 million. And by the way, we might just give you a piece of paper, a discount on some jerseys. And you got the $1 million and then some. So, the enthusiasm and the support for this it's pretty extraordinary. And it seems like before we get to the rich guy's wallet, the people who support the team are going to step up and keep you guys going.
Yeah, it gets back to that sense of like we have a monthly owners call, and
I think it was just the other day, right?
Yeah, it was last night, and we had a few hundred
with
people.
my big fat 5 shares.
Right,
there's the disclosure.
I was
finally,
waiting for it.
geez.
I thought it was going to come.
Let me just tell you, you know what the 5 shares entitles me to? I think my digital
sausage
picture on a wall somewhere, and I can dial into this call. So,
but Sean, can you explain to our listeners just how unique this really is? 'Cause you mentioned Atlanta with the MLS. I know Orlando's a little bit similar. Portland is obviously very successful, but that's a completely different model. There's not any place quite like Detroit, and or any club like what you are anywhere else in the country, as far as I know.
Not at that level.
Yeah.
No, right, exactly. With people that are willing to pony
these
up
guys
this
are
kind
traveling.
of money.
They're flying to games.
Right.
When you started, it was probably taking a church bus to Ann Arbor and beating the shit out of those.
Just before COVID, we had a game in Northern California, and we had 20 people who flew out for that game, and that game was only announced 6 weeks earlier. Every game we've ever played, now with the launch of the women's team, we've at least had a dozen people make the trek, and now we're at the point where, with the men's season, we started the spring season, we had a game on a Friday night in New York, then Wednesday night we were in LA, and Saturday night we were in San Diego, and because Open Cup, the following Wednesday, we were supposed to be in El Paso, but that got canceled because of COVID. But, everywhere we went, there were fans who snuck into, closed-door, matches to see it. And so, we do, behind closed doors, even publicly. But, MLS executives, USL executives have the utmost respect for DCFC. It is an outlier.
It is. It's really impressive. You got people marching, and this has been going on for years now. At this point, they were marching to games back at Cass Tech.
We launched the women's team last year, and it was a very abbreviated. The ladies wanted to play, so we really just played a 4-game mini season with the real proper launch this year. But the first goal scored at Keyworth, it was the gal who scored it. She posted a picture from 2012 when she was 10 years old at Cass Tech holding up a DCFC scarf.
That's cool.
And for me, that was just full circle, emotional, the impact this has had. And we're starting to get players now who, on the men's side as well, who are signing pro contracts, who were there with their parents 10 years ago, and that's pretty amazing.
Is there a salary cap or anything, or is it like real soccer where you can just pay whatever you wanted to?
I mean, the salary cap's like the economics of it.
Yeah,
the guys are making the guys are making tens of thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars in there. And we house all of them downtown. So I mean, for those guys in their mid-20s, like it's not a bad living.
Do the women get paid the same?
Our women's team's amateur, so it's basically starting out where the men did like 10 years ago, and we're just building it up over time.
That's been a big argument on the U.S. level, the women's team and the men's team, which we could spend hours arguing about.
Yeah, I mean,
we've already argued about that.
I think economically, like when you look at that $400 million paycheck or entry fee for MLS, like the economic argument is like, and you're already starting to see it, the NWSL starting to get cash infusion because like people see a more of an upside or quicker return on that investment. And so I think in many ways the future is female.
It's in the beginning, yeah.
Just a higher upside.
What entertainment dollar do you compete for in Detroit, do you think? And how do you grow the team going forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. So
thank you.
Yeah. We before COVID we did a fan survey. It was like 750 fans, mix of season ticket holders, single game ticket holders, single game attendees. 83% of our fans said that they had actively recruited a friend or family member to come to a game. Like our fans are our marketing arm. So
it's an event.
Yeah.
Outside of the sport, it's an event. Even so, yeah.
And we've seen like half our fans, like not only are they not soccer people, they're not necessarily sports people. Like, but that doesn't mean they don't care and get super involved. And they paint the tifos and they line up all the things that make the club run. So for us it is an event, and it's a party and it's affordable stros and it's a good time. And so but over time we certainly have been building up our chops on the soccer side, where now we have a dominant team that I could compete with anybody outside of MLS right now, and it's fun soccer. Like we win, like like if you want to see a winning team, like.
So how do you keep growing?
Yeah, it's a great question. You've been
Thanks again.
killing it, Mark. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you would think the top tier MLS, but that just doesn't seem like an option. So how do you keep growing this to where you can make money too? I mean that's the key, is to make money.
Or keep those other third-tier teams from picking off some of these other teams. I mean, there's got to be raids on whoever has the biggest gate. We want you with us. We'll make this inducement,
Yeah. We're at a point now where we're pulling up everyone around us, and it's a bit draining. So it's a difficult landscape. We added TV, like all of our matches are across statewide. I think every year we're looking to take on a little bit more just to keep raising the profile of the club. But yeah, and we're hoping the other teams in the league kind of step up, because right now we're just dominant. Not to jinx us right before the championship, but like we've been dominating everybody. We went almost 1,100 minutes without giving up a goal this spring.
I should tell Mark and Mike that I'm going Saturday night for work.
Oh, you're making it about you.
No, it's not about me at all.
I thought you were pulling an Elric there.
No. Here's what's different, though. This is the first time I have to actually credential, like a legitimate online. They want my photo credential. That's never happened before. So that's how, right? That's
in
how much
demand.
That's how much it's changing.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's serious. I can just walk up anymore and say hi, Alex, or whomever, and go sit where I want.
Don't you know who I am? I'm Sean Windsor.
No, that's not the point. The point is that that's how official it is. Is you can't get in without a photo.
Yeah, I mean, we are at the point where every game on the men's side is either locally on TV 20 or it's internationally on the BN network. And so, we're trying to be as accessible as possible.
Now you just got to get Iggy to do a mini concert.
Or Mike to show up.
Always throwing around ideas.
Easier said than done, man.
I've been a season ticket holder for many years, Sean, but I haven't been able to make any of these games or be able to get out and play for East English Village in the Detroit City Football League that this all started with, just because I've been out there trying to meet as many people in District 4 as possible to find out what they would like to see the city do for them.
I don't know what to say.
I think it's
a losing battle.
Yes, it's terrible to find out what people would like from their government. I agree with you, Sean.
No, I mean in relation to the podcast, but that's okay.
Remember when you said not to make this a campaign ad?
No, whatever Mike thinks.
No, I was talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
It's next week. Sean will be back in the pilot's chair.
No, Mark was in the pilot's chair last week. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
It was a team effort.
this is why the Tigers can't win. Lousy pitchers, lousy catchers. That's the way it goes. But here we go. Thanks, Al Avila. Sean, man, tell us one more time what time the game starts on Saturday, where people can find out more about it. And I understand, amazingly, but maybe it's just because it's early in the week, it's not sold out yet. So people
and where people can watch if they can't make it down there.
Channel 20 and the BN Network.
Okay, or ML.
It's on the BN Network nationally, and 7:30 kickoff. Get the full experience. Go to Fulling at 6:00. Take the march. All premium seating sold out, so just general admission at this point. But come on down.
It's a party.
It's going to be a memorable night, to say the least.
And can people get tickets online, or is it all at the gate?
No, get it online before it sells out. So it'll be tickets.detcityfc.com.
Okay, tickets.detcityfc.com, and you can start your evening at the Foaling Warehouse there in Hamtramck. March over with the supporters, get into Keyworth. You have a great time. All the seats have perfect views. There's lots of food trucks and other merchandise and vendors there. And, of course, one of the things that you'll find different from most sporting venues in Detroit is, number one, the team's already a champion and could be again soon. And the beer is reasonably priced.
They are probably the best team in the easily the best team in the respective leagues right now.
We've talked about that before. Which Detroit pro sports franchise is most likely to bring home a championship? And it's always DCFC.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And now Michigan State, since we're now paying our students, so I guess they're not professionals.
It's about time.
Good thing we got rid of the great debate, because we'd be here all day on that.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
Hey, we like things easy, don't we? Things to be simple, uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. You can walk in, sign in, sit down, and before you know it, you're just beautiful and handsome and clean, and you look great. It's Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's very simple. Go online, ladyjanes.com, find the location nearest to you, and when you go there, tell them you're a new customer and check in, and you'll know what button to hit to let them know who sent you there.
That sounds good. And Sean, man, thanks for coming. You look a little shaggy. Maybe we should send you over to Lady Jane's.
I hear it's simple.
It's simple. Okay.
I could use a cleanup as a champion. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
there you go. Yeah,
for the awards ceremony when you're on ESPN, the DC Nueve, whatever they're doing that on. So, and that BN network, is that BN.com, or is it on cable systems, or?
Yeah, BN, BEIN. It's where La Liga broadcasts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Mark Fellhauer and you are the two guys
that know that one. Sorry.
Okay. Radio for two. Okay, great. Well, our Geek of the Week, I thought about after having some time for quiet reflection and a little time away from the host chair and listening to people and spending some time out on the kayak, which is always a spiritual thing for me. There's a little cove where I can just go in there and just sort of drift a little bit.
Throw pedals.
Every once in a while, drop an oaring just to keep moving from floating back out on the big body of water. And I had an opportunity to examine who I am and what makes me.
Sounds very profound.
Yeah, it was the hand of God touching me. And I thought to myself, this whole Geek of the Week thing, boy, this feels like a small thing to do. It feels like being cruel to people who maybe already. And then
What are you talking about?
Then I thought about it and I decided, that's what Sean would have done. So Shoreline Junior High School in Utah, you are a Geek of the Week. You know why? Because there's a 14-year-old girl who spent the whole year working as a team manager for the cheer team, and you took 2 pictures of the cheer team. She was there in her uniform looking fantastic. You took 1 picture of the team with her and 1 picture of the team without her. And when that yearbook came out, and this young woman grabbed it because she was very eager to see herself with her friends, with the classmates, with the teammates, with the people she had helped succeed and put so much of her own spirit into, she found out they used the picture without her. Now,
why?
That's a good question. Like a lot of people who do things they shouldn't have done, the school district was not eager to talk about this. At some point, they had said that this was a mistake and didn't really talk too much more about it. But here's the thing. Geek of the Week is just something, it's a title that you only hold for 1 week. It actually, it's not like one of these NISL titles where you can hold it for 3 months and then you have to play the team you beat the shit out of like 6 more times. This is something that a title that you can relinquish. And so, our young, intrepid team manager is going to be back next year. She is going to help out with the team next year. And she's going to be in the team picture next year. So whether this was a mistake or not, when that yearbook at Shoreline Junior High comes out next year, or perhaps she moves up to the high school, whatever it is, we expect her to be featured in there prominently. If not, Shoreline Junior High School, you will once again, despite everyone's concern that we may be picking on people who really deserve to get a geek.
Mark's the look on Mark's.
Of the week.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mark. I'm completely confused.
Well, he didn't mention why. I looked it up, and it infuriates me for many reasons. But the reason I assume she was kept out in the second picture is she has Down syndrome.
I said that.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
No,
didn't I? No, I'm sorry.
You didn't.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
you did not say that.
Yeah, it's just I don't. Unlike
That's
Sean.
outrageous.
Unlike Sean, I don't want to ascribe motives to people, but yes, this young
project
woman.
on me. Go
this
ahead.
young woman has
Make me cover for
Down
your
syndrome.
omission.
So
Bullshit.
So yeah.
And
It's
who made that
outrageous.
decision? I want to know who made that decision. I want their face to be in the paper, front and center.
So you want them to be Geek of the Week?
Oh, 100%. Infuriates me.
Wait a minute, I thought this show got kinder and gentler while I was gone.
Fuck
Who
no.
said
Not
that?
with stuff like this,
Who
man.
said that?
It just got soft. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, so Shoreline Junior High, do we have a consensus here except for Sean because this is mean that
Yes.
they're the Geek of the Week?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. You lose, Sean.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
So given the experience we've all endured for the last several days with the flooding, I'm here to give you a little good news. And that good news is that while you dry that house out,
Yeah.
you can spend a lot less money on it. You can go
good.
to Hall Financial and still take advantage of one of these great deals to refinance, to get a loan in the first place. Rates still down there. They may be creeping up, so you don't want to sleep on this one.
Do not wait.
But if you go to Hall Financial, they will save you money. First of all, when you refinance, you save money on the first couple payments because there's a lag as the paperwork goes through, and then every month after that, with that lower rate in the twos, still, let's see what they can do there at Hall Financial. They're miracle workers. You will save money every single month in the life of your loan. So if you want to take advantage of this deal before it's gone, go to our website, mlsoulofdetroit.com, click on the link to Hall Financial, or call 248-308-5000. That's 248-308-5000. And to make sure you get the best deal, ask for Dan Morrison, and you tell him, hey, ML said to ask for you, Dan Morrison, so don't let me down, brother. NMLS 1467435. So with all the flooding, and given how popular the Talking Heads are, I thought this week we'd do Take Me to the Water. But no, New Wave Dave has a better suggestion. He says let's do Midnight Oil with King of the Mountain.
Walking through the high, dry grass, pushing my way through slow. Yellow belly, black snake, sleeping on a red rock, waiting for the stranger to go. Sugar train stops at the crossing. Coffee's casting below. Bad storm coming, better run to the top of the mountain. Mountain in the shadow of light. Mountain in the shadow of light.
Well, since we're all agreed that was a great new wave tune, we'll get to the next segment.
That was actually a really good song. Reminded me a little bit of the Smithereens, who are from New York.
Oh, that's
New Jersey, actually.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's a
Okay,
good.
maybe so. But yeah, exactly. But they're Americans, so we would never listen to them.
Wait, what happened to
But if it's
Dyspeptic Sean,
Australia-
who a
if
minute
it's-
ago was losing his mind
If
because
it's
it wasn't the
Australia,
Talking Heads?
if it's Australia, then yeah, that's okay. You know, if it's anywhere but America.
We did have the B-52s on
Once.
a little while ago.
Most of your choices are
we have had Blondie on.
are English.
You're an
Have
Anglo-
had,
Irish.
I think
You're an
we had
Anglo
REM on, and I don't
file.
think that was...
Or as Mark
that
would say,
was-
you're an Anglo-fillator.
Well, they're actually from Australia, so I don't know how that fits into it.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's one out of how many, Mark? How long have we been doing this godforsaken podcast?
He mentioned one or two, but
We've had Canadian New Wave on
sure,
here.
exactly.
Everybody
We've had
bought
Detroit New Wave
what?
on here.
What about
I
the
guess
U.S.
you
of
don't-
A?
Yeah, right.
I think Detroit is in the U.S. of A.
No, but Detroit has a certain kind of cachet, so that's okay for you. Which it does. It's a great place, very cool place.
So let me get this straight. You hate Australia. You hate England.
I love Australia.
Yeah, that's where that's.
I
what
was
it
watching Line of Duty way too late in the night last night. It's a British show for you. There you go.
From what year?
Line of
2018.
If you don't mind me saying
why he
so, your
doesn't know.
logic is up as a pile of duty. That's a Detroit-produced show.
Look, okay, let's just say this, Mark, because we missed you last week. It wasn't the same without you, and we're glad
It definitely was not the same.
and we're glad you're back. Do you feel better now?
Actually, I felt better last week, but I
Because you wanted
You weren't here?
you wanted to be missed,
wonderful. No.
and we did miss you.
It was,
I mean, I was just kind of over here looking for sump pumps. Mark was the one over there with the infrastructure, but somehow we didn't have the what
interesting content.
exactly. I was going to say the essence of the show.
Oh yeah. No, sorry,
it
sorry,
does have your name on it. So,
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but
I wear your T-shirts around, and
do you feel better now?
yeah,
um,
I'll go get you a razor.
What are you looking for?
so I'm trying to find one of the things I love about Midnight Oil, besides the fact that they are a very political band, which is sort of the essence of New Wave, is they also have one of the greatest acoustic riffs in all of New Wave, and I can hear it in my head, but I can't remember the name.
You can hear it on your phone too.
No, this is.
The song we just played.
Yeah, I know. It's not. It's
Why are you playing it
It's
again?
like mix minus. I'm not playing it.
You're not? Am I playing it? Who's playing it?
I don't think I'm playing it. Maybe I was playing it. Anyway, I was just searching for great
never your
American
fault.
new wave bands, and Midnight Oil came right up. But no, Midnight Oil, great band, one of the most interesting frontmen of all times. Dude was a lawyer who became a member of Parliament, who also looked like the guy from The Hills Have Eyes. So
He's a weird looking dude.
so well done.
I like that song. That's a cool song. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know if it's new wave, but it'll work. If you say it's new wave, it's new wave.
So to help me out next week, if somebody could suggest an American new wave band.
Yeah,
Even though
that no one knows.
Even though no, it doesn't have to be one. That
Okay,
no one
or
knows.
that's a deep cut of a song no one knows, not a band, right?
It could be.
Isn't that what you want for it?
No, the idea is so. Listen. There's lots of places you can go to get oatmeal. There's lots of places you can
My
go
house.
to get
I made Irish oatmeal
to
last
get
week.
white toast.
Steel
But there's
cut
only
oats.
one place you can go to hear new wave music that maybe you've never heard before, with a little bit of a story behind it, or to go to one of those bands you thought you knew so well and say, "Oh my God, I've listened to them for 20 or 30 years, but I didn't know this was their tune. I love this tune." For example, because of my fascination with Duran Duran, it turned me on to Japan, and now I listen to Japan more than I listen to Duran Duran, if that's possible. And happy birthday to John Taylor, who celebrated his birthday last week. But one of the greatest bassists
Do
of
you
all
listen
time.
to Duran Duran before or
birthday?
after you pat yourself on the back? I'm just curious.
I'm patting John Taylor on the back.
Okay.
But
Mark,
yes.
Mark.
So if you got some good
He's
shit,
on a
just
roll.
send
Just
it
let
to
him
us.
go.
How about that?
Okay. And in the meantime, overreaction is not the strategy for a long-term investor. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but you need.
Don't overreact to new wave music. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you got to have your money grow, and one of the guys who can help your money grow is Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Well, 248-663-4748. He's the guy that provides rational financial advice What do you put your money in? Equities, bonds, what number? What do these numbers mean? 401k, 529. Get the right investments, get advice, get a strategy. Call Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748.
Because he'll make it all about new wave music from America, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Thank you, Luke Nowacki. One of two Red Shovel Network-wide sponsors, along with David Hall Financial. So when you call David Hall or when you call Luke, please make sure that they know you heard about him from this particular show because, we're kind of parochial. That's the way it goes. So
I am. You're not.
We want to thank our donors. As you may recall, this month we are taking donations to the show and giving them to Crossroads, which is a nonprofit that helps families in need in Detroit. Been doing it for a long time. They have 2 locations in the city. And not only will we turn our donations over to Crossroads, but I will personally match each one of those donations. This comes out of one of our Geek of the Week segments where some jackass paid his final child support payment in pennies, and the family took that money and gave it to a shelter in their town. So they've inspired us, and we are hopeful that we have inspired you as well. Although one of our donations comes from William, who writes of last week's show, best show ever, talking heads and no ML. Well, we're still going to match your donation and turn both pots of money over to Crossroads.
That's heartbreaking.
Billy boy. Kristen, who always supports this show, dug even deeper to support Crossroads, who writes, keep up the great work, even though there is no room in 7609 for In Excess. I still love you.
They're too popular.
I don't know if she's saying she doesn't want... Actually, I love In Excess, also Australian. And one of my favorite In Excess tunes of all time is Original Sin. But I've worried that it's too popular to play in room 7.
Don't worry about it. People like popular music. That's why the same songs are played all the time.
They can get that anywhere. We're trying to give people something different. So maybe we'll do...
As opposed to something enjoyable.
Maybe we'll do something... Well...
I love it when Mark toots out of his nose.
I like it when you needle him.
Brian sent some money with no note, but the money's going to be matched and sent to Crossroads. And Ann sent a sawbuck because she gets it, writing simply, for Crossroads of Detroit, smiley face emoji.
Beautiful.
But she didn't write smiley face emoji.
MLSoloDetroit.com. There's a little donate button if anybody else wants to donate.
So
send it on to Crossroads.
Yep. Every donation made before our next show, we will send to Crossroads and we will match. So thank you.
It'll take money out of ML's pocket if you donate this week. So that's incentive.
Yeah, if the flooding wasn't going to turn my pockets outside in. Hey, this is a good cause. We're happy to support it, and we're happy to let the geeks make something good happen. So thank you for helping us do that. The way you can put some money into our pockets is buy all our super groovy merchandise, which you can find at Mr. Mark.
DrewandMikeStore.com.
There's so much good stuff there. We don't have time to list it all. Feedback. Last week, they didn't have a lot of great feedback.
About last week's show or last week when we did the show?
No, there wasn't a lot of feedback in last week's show from our listeners. So we're gonna catch up.
Okay.
I was
going to say, I don't think we did any feedback.
No, I know, that's what I mean. So we got some catch up to do in this as we listen to the...
Was that one of your complaints about
sonic sensation?
The styling.
Was that one of your complaints about the Sean Windsor-led show last week? Is that he didn't do any feedback?
That was one of many complaints. I did not lead the show.
That was point number.
Lead the show.
That was point number 8. Review and if necessary.
Look at me. I'm looking.
Edit listener feedback.
Look at me. You can see me in the monitor. Does that guy look like he can lead a show? Of course not.
Show to a clip.
I thought it was great.
Guy can barely get here.
It was a very good show.
What can you say?
It was very enjoyable. It made me feel like I should take more time off.
No.
Or do more campaigning.
It wasn't the same without you.
Schaefer felt he was in a safe place. He was okay to come out. Even though he did misstate the origin of the Manoogian Mansion investigation. I did not believe in the rumor. Oh. In fact, I never believed in the rumor. And there were some people who were pushing the rumor when I didn't report on it, or they didn't feel I was doing my work digging into it because I'd already dug into it and found out it was bullshit. They went to some other reporters. Those other reporters went to some bosses, and because they were all older than me, they applied some pressure on me to get into it, and they still didn't trust me to get to the bottom. So they put this Schaefer fellow with me, and we did find a bunch of other stuff.
Did he say that he believed?
Didn't I predict last week that a lot of today's show would be about him correcting last week's show?
You did.
Well, the truth matters.
But did Jim actually say you believed in the rumor?
Yeah, he said I had this great tip, and I brought it, and we investigated. I was
But
like,
that's
no,
not
I
the same as saying you believed in it, is it?
I did not bring the tip to the Free Press. I investigated it. I found it to be unfounded. And then the Free Press came to me and said, get your ass back out there and take this bag of dirt with you. That's how it happened.
Any other feedback?
Not that Jim's a bag of dirt. I could use a bag of dirt.
Okay, what's the feedback here before we completely relitigate last week's show?
So I'm just enjoying Buzz Me Mellow.
Well, it's almost done because
you guys were ranting.
You had to
Come on, brother.
Someone needs to say it. Twitter handle @LaDuff's Cadillac writes, that show is great. Elric is going to have to prove why you guys should let him back on.
Hey, that's mean.
That's not nice at all.
Very.
It's a team effort.
Kyle opines, ML, while my emails have become less frequent, my love for the show has only grown. But as you told your tale of a broken down car, I thought he gets it. He is finally doing it. ML is going to use his flu stance for life and personal reasons to define himself as a regal man. Get your finest polyester suit, your most dapper monocle, and a picture of you sunglasses on getting out of a cherry Buick Regal and have it state the following. A regal man for a regal city. ML doesn't live a fast-paced life, so you can. Faith in the public servant is restored. Feel free to use this idea for your next literature drop.
I think you should now.
I think I'm going to pass on that, but I did drive a Cutlass, which was the Oldsmobile version of the Regal, and the Regal was a Regal vehicle.
Finish the feedback.
But here's the reason why Kyle is pushing the Regal so hard. He's from Flint, which was Buick City. He says the city of Flint has at least one person who would vote for you should your district expand north. So thank you, Kyle.
That'd be a large district.
And Steve sent this a couple weeks ago, but Sean somehow missed it. Hi, Mike. Since you called Sean a reptile a couple weeks ago, maybe you could play Swamp Thing by the Chameleons, but unfortunately they're an English band, or Reptile by the Church, who unfortunately are an Australian band. Also, I really think you need your own Room 7609 music station, or at least dedicated podcast.
Well, to that point, there is a playlist on Spotify, ML Solo Detroit. I haven't updated it in quite some time, but I will get on that and put all the songs that we've played from 7609 on there.
That's really nice. A couple of thoughts. One, thanks for calling me a reptile.
That sounded very dismissive, by the way.
I don't remember calling you reptile. I'm sure that was taken out of context.
Yeah, well, I do breathe through my eyes. Two,
that's why he's so popular
I'm like
with the ladies.
You just wanted to drop some reptile knowledge.
I'm a rep. That's no knowledge. I'm just a reptile off the Men in Black movies. The the church. That was my other selection.
I told him that before the show. I vetoed it because I like the Talking Heads, and he got really mad.
I actually love, but I was going to play a popular song by the church, right? Because
Reptile's pretty popular.
Yeah, it is. But their biggest hit was the Under the
Milky Way Tonight.
Yeah. Which is actually a great song. But Mark, it was a little too melodic for Mark or something.
Yeah.
Also,
I just like the other one more.
The church. We have played Marty Wilson Piper, who was the guitar player for the church, and he plays one of the sweetest 12-string guitars in new wave music.
See, we do have some things in common. We have a lot in common.
So
I can't grow a beard either.
And that eye breathing thing. Don't drag me into that. So, anyways, the church, by the way, is one of the bands playing on this big festival in California next May. That's headlined by Morrissey, and it's some amazing bands playing in that. So, if anybody wants to send us 2 tickets to that, it's next May. We'd love to go.
The rundown is overflowed. Sorry.
So
is the show.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's pretty much it. If you love Buzz Me Mellow, Matt Prokop, who wrote that for the show, commissioned it with Max for our 100th episode. We'll be playing on Wednesday night, June 30th, so really tomorrow, at a fundraiser at the Traffic Jam to support my campaign for Detroit City Council. You can find out more about that at ml4detroit.com. You can follow me and the campaign on social media at ml4detroit on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, of course, you can find out about this show by going to my Facebook page, ML No Periods Elric, where you can also see the Facebook Live broadcast. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Elric, where you'll find out about this show and just about every other cool thing going on in this hemisphere, which does not include Australia.
Well,
so you
welcome
may miss
back.
Some really good.
I'm glad you're back.
Music. It feels to be back. It feels like
It feels?
I'm here. I would let the listener.
I'm glad you're back too.
Put in their adjective, whatever they think is most appropriate. And Sean,
Thrilled.
Sean, what are you up to?
What am I up to? Oh, soccer, Saturday night.
Yeah.
Keyworth, there you go.
PGA, golf.
You got a nice
Sunday in
nice
Detroit.
article on Cade Cunningham.
Oh, I wrote about the lottery, yeah.
Which I think is a can't-miss NBA prospect.
So, soccer.
We argued about that before the show.
Yes, we did. Golf, I have to. PGA's in Detroit. That's kind of a cool thing.
Yawn.
I know. But
When you read the golf story out loud to yourself before you file it, do you
fall asleep?
Do you whisper?
I fall asleep. Yeah.
Do a lot of people read golf in the paper?
Not really.
I mean, I don't mind watching on TV. That's just not one that I would follow on paper.
We don't. And
But
then
I think that's because it's an individual sport as opposed to team sports. You just have more drama.
what else? I'm going to write about the name, image, and likeness, which is about to take effect into a couple of states.
That's where college students can profit and do endorsements.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and maybe some other stuff. Who knows? Maybe some more golf. I don't know. It is a big deal that Detroit has a PGA tournament. So
It is a big deal.
That's
yeah.
cool.
I didn't mean to belittle it.
No, that's kind of cool. But
Is this the Rocket Mortgage Classic?
it is.
And is that at the Detroit Golf Club?
It is.
nice.
It's a good event.
It's a little bit not too far off Woodward.
I think Jerome Bettis lives on the Detroit Golf Club.
Does he? Mm.
The bus.
Nice.
How do you know that?
Nice.
Why do you know that? Why'd you just dox him?
I didn't say which hole he lives off of. I said he lives near it.
Okay. All right.
I think the bus can handle himself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's all you got?
Yeah. All right.
Mark,
I
what
think.
are you up to?
Me?
That's right.
Does he not want to go home?
Just being in this basement, man.
What's going on?
I guess not. No, why would he want to go home? He has to clean out his flood.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am
Blame
sorry.
you. I would stay here
That
too.
is terrible.
I'm putting it off as long as I can. I do want to say from last week's show, a special thanks to Mark Fellhauer, who reached out to see if I needed any help. Jim Schaefer, who reached out to see if I needed any help. Matt Jennings, who said, "Hey, I got some jokes for you," and I said, "I don't need any help."
Zoovs, did he reach out? Zoovs
no,
did. Yeah, he did.
Zoovs kind of
By
did,
proxy.
but it was like Wonder Twins. He said like form of an ice sled to come over here. He was just waiting for somebody to be.
Are you saying Sean Windsor did not offer to lend a helping hand?
I didn't know he was in trouble.
I didn't know he had flooded until my wife told me, because she's on social media, and I guess she posted a picture.
That's at Elric on Twitter. ML no periods Elric.
Did you tweet it though? I didn't see. I'm on Twitter. I don't do Facebook, so
I may have just put something up like "Oh, the humanity" or something.
well, that sucks. I legitimately feel bad for.
I do too. Sorry,
having gone through that.
Sorry, I didn't see it sooner. I did see Kathy Kay's car floating in the street, though.
Was this 5 hours of show a nice break?
Well, she's on Instagram, and it was just a really haunting picture.
What does she know about photography?
Was this a nice break from all that misery?
No, not at all. This is compounded my misery.
Okay,
sorry.
This is like this is but like being rescued from a POW camp and then forced to listen to
don't compare it.
Charlie the Duff No BS News Hour or the Drew and Mike podcast, which are also available here on the Red Shovel Network. So we encourage you to listen to those shows so you can learn something about how podcasting should be done. And now we will just find solace in the comfort of our friend Cyrus, who will take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
ML Elric, Sean Windsor, Mark Fellhauer,
and Christy Brinkley.
Well, are you going to go for it?
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Take you for a ride. This summer, when you think vacation, think
Soul of Detroit's
vacation.
Better check under the hood.